Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
And they're off.
Brought to you by Go Racing. Plan your day at the races at goracing.ie.
And a very good afternoon. You're welcome along to Friday Night Racing. If you're listening to this on the radio, you're very welcome. If you're streaming it live on Facebook, on YouTube, or indeed on Twitter, then you're also very welcome. And you can leave us a comment on any of our live platforms. No Johnny Ward with us this week, but John Duggan is here to take his place. And also we have Gavin Cromwell with us, the trainer, who's also ripping up trees, I believe is how they would phrase this in the parlance. Gavin, how are you doing?
Good.
Not a bad time for you, although outside you were saying the vagaries of horse racing are such that yesterday you had 3 fancied horses and only one of them even made it home.
Yeah, 2 fallers, but that's the game we're in.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's tough, yeah, but I thought I had 3 live chances. The first one went off odds on and fell, but there you go.
How do you deal with that, or how do you get used to dealing with that? Because it seems like it's the one part of the game that, from the outside, you would find the most difficult.
Yeah, that's the highs and lows. A pat in the back is only a foot away from a kick in the backside. I've often been driving home from racing and, thinking all negative thoughts and forgetting that we actually had a winner earlier on. But that's the way it is. Do
you need to train your brain then a little bit to stop yourself doing that? Because if you take defeat badly, a success rate of 11% for a jockey is considered brilliant. I don't know what is good for a trainer, but any win is a win. How do you train yourself to not be constantly? Yeah, you really do.
If you were to dwell on it, during the bad times, you wouldn't be long about giving it up.
Yeah, well, hopefully you're celebrating the good times, because we were again chatting a little bit earlier on. You're off to Churchill Downs for the Breeders' Cup meeting.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah,
it's the course to go to, isn't it, in the States?
So I'm told. Never been. It sounds great anyway. Just the whole Breeders' Cup thing, it's massive.
Princess Yiza. So this horse, I think, ran well behind the ARC runner-up, Sea of Class at Newbury. But this horse was only winning and without any disrespect to Dundalk, in the last year, and now it's going to the Breeders' Cup possibly. It's pretty remarkable rate of progress.
She won a nursery, I think, off a rating of 72, which would be, it's not a bad rating, but it certainly wouldn't be getting you to the Breeders' Cup in November of last year. And we certainly didn't think we'd be going to the Breeders' Cup with her. But she's improved, obviously.
How have you done
it? Look, she was a 2-year-old that was tall and just unfurnished, and through the year she's developed and kept improving. So, and she's continuing to improve. She actually galloped yesterday morning, and I'd say it was probably her best bit of work yet.
Oh no, that's good. You getting excited ahead of the trip?
Well, look, she's going to need to improve quite substantially to go winning a race like this, but it's nice to think that she is improving.
Just to take us back a little bit to plot the course then. Am I right in saying she won in Longchamp a couple of weeks ago, is that right?
Yeah.
So how do you even decide to go to Longchamp? And is that maybe in midsummer or even kind of last spring, when you're thinking what the course of the year is going to be like for this horse, how does that work? What's in your head originally?
Well, we started off that we said we'd try and get her some black type, and to explain that, she would need to be placed in a listed race, and then she basically has black type for her breeding, which once she has that, she has it for life. So as a filly, she now becomes quite valuable because it's on her pedigree and it's there forever. But we got that quite early on with her, where she was
in what race? How did you do that?
She was third in the Cheshire Oaks.
Okay.
And
how did you pick the Cheshire Oaks, my adventures? Because that's the type of stuff that this is the alchemy of the trainer and the owner plotting a course through stuff, because everybody else is trying to plot the same course and sometimes avoid certain horses. But so the Cheshire Oaks is a listed race, and you thought you've a crack at it.
I actually tell a lie, because she was actually third in a listed race in Navan before she went there.
Okay.
But regardless, they're not of abundance. There's not that many of them, and it's the fillies only, and it's often, apart from the winner or second horse, which can often be very good, you could pick up a place in it.
Okay.
So that was the reason that we aimed her there. And
at this stage, it's still really just with the intention of creating a bit of value for her as a breeding horse later on.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And subsequently, we didn't know back then, but the horse that was finished a half a length in front of her went on to win the Epsom Oaks.
Right. So you're like, hang on a second.
Well, you see, that's hindsight now.
Yeah.
But and then she went to Newbury, and then the winner of that race went and won a Group 1 and was only beaten in the Arc.
So when you are looking at the Oaks, is that like, are you like out of your chair going, go on, go on?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, it franks the form.
Yeah.
Best horse you've ever had?
Definitely best flat horse. Yeah.
And the best jumps you've had? Was that Jarrah's Girl? Was that the horse that put you on the map?
Yeah. Well, I had, I suppose Shrita won. She won the Cambridgeshire, which was the first kind of big pot, the 100 grand race in the Curragh, and that was, that was really nice to win, and it just kind of steadily grew from there.
And you started off, Gavin, in the game, and I think your uncle and your grandfather were involved in training. But you're what's known as a farrier, or by day, or a blacksmith. So you effectively give the horses the shoes they need to race. Tell us a bit about that, because maybe to the person who goes to the racetrack and doesn't think about these things, the horse is actually, they're traveling 30, 40 miles an hour. They have to have good footgear on them, like all of us. Yeah,
well, I'm a farrier, not a blacksmith. A blacksmith makes gates, and I can't make any gates.
Okay.
Look, horses. All horses need to be shod, and their feet need to be looked after. And that's what I've worked at for the last 25 years or so.
And to me, when I look at it on a screen and I see you're holding the leg of the horse, and they're very delicate. And it looks to me like, you could get a kick, they could rear up. Is it a dangerous job?
Yeah, I suppose, it's very physical. It's hard work. You earn every penny you get. But, it's been good to me over the years, and I'm not sorry I don't have to do as much of it now as I used to.
And you do it for Gordon Elliott, who's the top trainers in Ireland with Willie Mullins. If a horse, say, loses a shoe in a race, is the horse in pain?
Not necessarily. Some horses have quite tender type of feet, and if they, let's say a flat horse, if they lost one on hard ground in a race, there's a good chance that they would get sore. Or if a horse pulled the shoe and actually stood on the shoe again, which the nails would be more than likely sticking out, and then they would obviously be very sore. But if you had a horse in the depths of the winter in Ireland that pulled the shoe in the middle of a race, and they're going 6 or 8 inches into soft ground, the likelihood is they wouldn't even feel it.
And you do the shoes for Gordon Elliott, and I was reading that the Grand National winner of 2007, Silver Birch, and the Gold Cup winner of 2016, Don Cossack, you did their shoes. So you have those shoes as mementos, I believe.
I do, yeah. Along with Water of Crystal's shoe that he won a gold medal, that he lost it again, but I still have it in the drawer at home anyway.
How do you get into this, Gavin? How do you,
I wanted to be a jockey, and got a bit tall, used that as an excuse, but really wasn't good enough. And I remember from when I was a kid paying for my own pony to get shod, and I thought, I felt I could make a living out of this. So
it kept you around again, because there is training in your family, right? Like, it wasn't...
Yeah, my uncle trained a few, and my grandfather used to train a few pointers.
Right, but not at the level that you're doing at the moment. Like,
no.
You just wanted to be in the game. Is that
absolutely? Yeah. And it was a great way of keeping involved in it. And it's very tough for stable lads out there, and I didn't want to be a stable lad for the rest of my life. It's very hard work, and the money is not very good.
So how does it actually work? You train for a long period of time to become a farrier? Is it a
4-year apprenticeship?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
that's not quick. That's like I'm going to do this, and then you have to keep...
There's college involved, and there's quite a bit. You have to know a lot of the anatomy, and basically the majority of lamenesses with horses are foot related. Right. And then there's a lot to know about, like we can do a lot of corrective work with foals. As they're growing, as the foal is growing, we can correct the way their limbs grow, and we can put extensions under their feet and get them correct them and straighten them up. So while you're doing all this, we hear about certain jockeys being brilliant horsemen, and we hear about certain trainers kind of being able to commune with them. You're acquiring endless amounts of knowledge and information about horses, and have access to the best horses in the country.
So you're kind of by osmosis picking up, I guess, some bits and pieces that must feed into you as a trainer, right?
Absolutely. Every day is a school day. A fella said to me one time, he was asking me, he was going building a few stables, and he asked me, and he said, somebody had told him before, ask your farrier, because he's the one that would have seen it all.
Yeah.
You know, in all the different yards. So
about what to put on the ground.
Well, that was just in general about he was building a stable yard.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're going around, you're looking at what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So let it be from the building of the stables to how they train their horses.
Yeah. Okay.
So every day is a school day.
And when did you start training? And when did you decide that like being a farrier is great and it's something that I can do for the rest of my life if I have to? But
I didn't. I took out a license. I had a couple of pointers that I was training for a bit of fun, and I took out a license to run a couple of them on the track. And just as a hobby, it evolved.
That's true. You know, when someone says, I'm just doing this as a hobby, it's like I'm dipping my toe in and I'm not that committed to it. Secretly, my dream is that this is going to work. And
Churchill Downs, is it on you?
Yeah.
You know, is it like, were you actually secretly kind of, you know, this is the real dream?
Well, look at.
Because you're pretty good at something for a hobby, it turns out.
Yeah, well, I suppose you're always hungry to improve on everything that you do anyway. So
yeah.
When you're seeing Silver Birch win the Grand National and you're involved, is that what gets you? It gets you emotionally. Oh, this could be something I could try because I know around this every day.
That's the way the whole thing is, because it's just a complete labour of love. You know, you really, you know, there's just so many hours go into it, and it's 7 days a week, and it's 365. You know, you really have to really want to just improve on the whole, on everything has to keep improving.
And were you busy as a farrier? Like, was it a kind of decision that you had to make to become a full-time trainer?
Oh, very busy as a farrier.
Yeah.
And you know, it was hard to give up a lot of the work that, you know, I shown for people for years, and they were very good to me, and I found it very hard to let them go because you really don't know. The training is so fickle.
Yeah.
You really don't know what's around the corner for you.
Yeah.
There's been so many trainers had to give up in the last few years, you know, that were very successful, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't have the horses and had a bad couple of years, and they're very, very soon forgotten about.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You're completely dependent on the horses, and even if the horses are great, you're dependent on them running well and not hitting the fence, and that the jockey does his job, and that like that kind of team.
So much luck involved. Like Princess Ieza, when she won her nursery last year in November, and she was sold to go to America, and the man that owns her now, Lindsay LaRouche, and she was sold through a bloodstock agent, but she was waiting to travel to America. You don't just, book a flight for next week and get on it.
Yeah.
So she had to get all her bloods and different stuff, quarantine stuff, organised before she was to go, and it was dragging out and went until after Christmas, and they were waiting they go on a crate, and they were waiting for her to share a crate with something else, and it was just dragging on, and I got chatting to Lindsay and twisted his arm to give her a run.
Right.
And she actually ran in Dundalk again, Mendelssohn, I can never pronounce his name, and she ran quite well, and he came over from California to see her run, and he was happy with that, and he said he'd leave her for another run. So the rest is history, you know. We were very lucky with her.
Yeah.
But you just really need the breaks and a bit of luck.
It is amazing that, like, and it's funny now because, you know, we've had everybody in at this stage who has all these different routes to success, that like having the backdrop and the background and the grounding of a job in the industry that allows you to go around and kind of just get bits of information and generally get to know people who might be potential customers or clients or helping you in some way along the way. Like, you know, if there's any of the young jockeys out there who are struggling a little bit, that there are other pathways to remain within the industry to get to wherever it is you want to go. Yeah,
absolutely. But you have to work hard. That's, you really want to.
Yeah. Being a farrier sounds particularly hard work.
Yeah, but...
Do you get kicked? Have you been kicked?
Yeah, of course I have, yeah.
Been to hospital?
Only really a few stitches now, nothing too bad.
You wear this apron,
That's just to protect your legs. It's just because, from the horse's legs and the shoes, and if they pull, you have nails sticking out of their shoes, and they can tear you.
And how often do they get reshod?
Well, a racehorse, about every month, or if they were running in less than within the month, it could even be shod within 3 weeks.
Okay.
Basically, because you're nailing a metal shoe onto a hoof, which is essentially horn, which is the same as your nail.
Right.
And because you have a shoe nailed to that foot can't wear, so it's constantly growing. And the foot is getting longer, so then you in turn have pressure on the tendons, ligaments, joints.
Okay.
So you need to shorten the toes all the time.
And who does that? Do you
That's what we do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you come along, take the old shoe off, shorten the nail, and put on a new shoe.
Could, yeah, more than likely put a new shoe on.
Yeah.
You could possibly put the same one back on.
Right. Okay. And are all shoes the same? Are there Manolo Blahniks versus like
size 10s, size 8s?
Absolutely. There's from from 1s to 9s or thereabouts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And have you been at Cheltenham or at Punchestown and you get a call from a panic trainer in the middle of racing going, there's a problem here, we need to sort this?
Well, there is an on-course farrier.
Okay, right.
At every race meet. But I have been, when Gordon will have runners, I may have to sometimes step in.
Raz de Marie, you're speaking there, Gavin, about, trainers, retiring or doing different things. And Sandra Hughes was one of those, Desi's daughter. And you got Raz de Marie, I think, from her.
Yeah.
And what did you do? This was a veteran chaser. You saw Silver Birch win a Grand National. How did you approach beginning to train this horse? Who'd eventually win a Welsh National?
Yeah, starting off, I couldn't foresee that, to be honest. But it was obvious to train him for some of the nationals. Like he had won a Cork National and won a Munster National, and the first thing we won with him was a Cork National again. So he's just an out and out stayer.
Loves the mud.
Loves, not so much that he loves the mud. He just loves stamina. A stamina test.
So he's second behind a future Gold Cup winner, Native River, in 2016, and then the 2017 version, I think, was actually earlier this year because of the weather conditions. You've got a 13-year-old horse, and generally at 12 they stop winning nationals. But a 13-year-old horse and a 16-year-old jockey.
Yeah.
How is that comprehensible to anybody? James Bowen, do you have any fear about this young lad? He must have impressed you.
Well, look, he was ticking all the boxes. He was the new kid on the block, and the fact that the horse was that year older, and we just needed to give him every chance, so we claimed a few pound off as well, and it all worked out. It was great.
16-1. They went too quick in front. 3.5 miles of Chepstow, hilly track in places, and then he starts picking off the horses one by one. What's going through in your head when you're watching that to try and just control your emotions?
He's a funny horse that he's so slow. His biggest trouble is to actually stay in a race. If he can cling on to the back of them during the race, he actually has a chance. And from when they turned in, from the position he was in, I thought, no, he had a right chance. And the track really suits him. I think there could be there's 4 fences or 5 fences in the straight, but it's quite a big long straight, and they do tend to go very fast in that race. So anyway.
Do you get nervous? Were you jumping up and down? Could you watch it?
Yeah, I do get quite nervous watching a race, to be honest. But Asher, that's all part of it, isn't it? That's what you get the buzz out of.
And I think, was he one of the favoured horses then for the Grand National at Aintree? It didn't work out in the day, but even to have a horse that was fancied,
yeah,
what a thrill.
Absolutely. And he actually ran a great race in it. The ground, it was looking like it was going to suit him during the week, and it just dried out. If the race was held the day before, I'm not saying he would have won but it definitely would have been a lot closer. He jumped fantastic, and he was just flat out all the way.
And Gordon's won, Tiger Roll. Did you do the feat for Tiger Roll? So you had a part to play, even though you didn't have the national winner. You had a part to play in Tiger Roll's success.
Yeah. Well, I was still shouting for Raz though.
How do you do both? How do you manage to do both? Is it only specific people you do both for now?
Well, I'm not doing very much shoeing anymore. Okay. I have a couple of lads helping me at that. So
okay, so that was that's the decision at that point. Is like, no, I am now a trainer. This is what I do. Yeah,
well, it was never really one day. It was just, it kind of slipped over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. there's only so much things you can do.
No, it's true. But having said that, you do manage to train, as we've been talking about, flat horses and jumps horses, and this is happening more and more now. But like, certainly when we were kids growing up, you were a flat trainer or you were a national hunt trainer, and that was it.
Yeah.
When did you make the decision, and how did that come about? How does that happen?
There was no real decision. It was a case of I wouldn't refuse any horse.
Right.
And I suppose we did quite well with both, and it's continued like that.
When does that, so how quickly are you having success with both? Because I think it's 06 is your first winner, is that right?
Yeah.
Were you training long before you had your first winner? Is that your first season?
Not terribly long, really.
Okay. So early success definitely helps.
Yeah.
But that's in
Scotland.
But
it was very small back then. We really only had maybe 4 or 5 horses.
Okay. Were they all jumps horses at that stage?
Dual purpose, maybe.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really where your ability comes in, because I always wonder, is there a different skill set, or is a horse? You need to prepare the horse to be able to run as fast over the distance that it's supposed to run at the right time, and that's the skill set, as opposed to we train them to jump or we train them to be.
Well, you're right on both counts. A horse is a horse at the end of the day, and you treat them like an athlete and you treat them like a horse, and if you have them healthy and well, is a big part of it. But obviously they do different types of work. Yeah. But it's not. Is there mad difference in the work, or is it fairly simple? Yeah, there's an awful lot more stamina involved with the jumpers, right, and with the flat ones, particularly the 2-year-olds. You're really trying to teach them to gallop and go quick. How do you do that? Just shorter, fast bits of work, right, in opposed to the stamina work that the jumpers would do. And the 2-year-olds are kind of the slightly mental kind of, you have to Well, they're only babies. Exactly. That's that's where you need your talented horse people on those. Well, you need them on both. Sure. You really do. Yeah. You're only as good as the people around you, and you really need good riders. Are so important. And you're talking there, Gavin, about having only a few horses starting off. How many horses do you have now in your stable? How many staff do you have? How is the operation expanded? We've kind of 35, 40. And getting a nicer type of horse now as well. Not all of them, but we're trying all the time. JP McManus as well is it? Yeah, brilliant. Sure. Yeah, he's been. We're very lucky to come across Jerry's Girl and JP bought her, and Esport Allen, does he own that as well? Yeah. So that's one of your leading lights for the new campaign. If we're looking at Gavin Cromwell horses for the new season, I think everybody is excited now with the jump season, getting their little guides and their stable tours, and it's October, and I know myself, I'm kind of thinking maybe I might have an anti-post bet for Cheltenham or whatever. Are there a few horses that we should remember from the Gavin Cromwell yard for the jump season? Look at Esport Allen, which really looking forward to him. I've a really nice mare that she won a bumper last year, and she was second in a listed bumper, Lady Isha, and she's going hurdling. She'll not be running now until we got plenty of rain. Sure. Which I think a lot of people are doing a rain dance at the moment. I know most people in general public don't want to see rain, but every national hunt trainer in the country is crying out for it. And so if you have a horse that won a bumper and finished second in a listed bumper last year and is going hurdling, you automatically this year have Cheltenham in mind? Is that just how it has to work, or do you think, are you plotting a different course for some of those horses? This particular one, I'm not sure would Cheltenham really suit her, you know, because the ground comes good in Cheltenham. I think she needs soft ground, and I'd be more concentrating on her Irish winter campaign. Okay, so Christmas, Leopardstown, that kind of stuff? Yeah, absolutely, yeah. The Dublin Racing Festival maybe? Yeah, I know most roads would lead to Cheltenham, but not all roads. Yeah. No, and I suppose that was why I was trying to ask about the Breeders' Cup. At some point during the summer, you have to go, Jesus, Longchamp, if we do that, do you allow yourself to daydream a little bit about that kind of thing, or is it Yeah. Even the decision to go to Longchamp, was that fairly obvious at the time? No, it wasn't. Well, back... Lindsay LaRouche that owns the filly, we made a plan back in I suppose early summer, and Galway, the Oyster Stakes was kind of the last listed race for her in Ireland, and we thought that I won't say confident, but we're fairly optimistic that she would be there or thereabouts in it, and she was only beaten in it. And the last leg of the plan was to go to Longchamp.
Right.
So we went all the way, and we said we'd go. Now, it was a huge step to go from a listed race to a Group 2.
Yeah.
And it ended up being only a small field, a 6 runner field, and we thought we had a real good chance of being placed in it, and it was brilliant prize money. It was a $250,000 or $250,000 on offer. So it was unbelievable to go and win.
Yeah, so that must have been absolutely sensational.
Yeah, fantastic.
Because it's not you leave the house and then you're constantly moving until the race actually happens, and then the race happens and you've got this 2.5 minutes of calm, which is actually mayhem.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your life is actually a little bit different now because you've won a race at Longchamp.
Well, look, I don't know, is it much different really, but yeah, it was brilliant. It was just very exciting.
That's class. Well, congratulations. And well done. We're going to look at some of the races this week. There's 3 races in particular, 2 at Ascot and Leopardstown on also tomorrow. Sorry, they're all tomorrow. It's the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes, the Champion Stakes on Saturday, Champions Day at Ascot, and then at Leopardstown it's the Killavullen Stakes. Will we start at Ascot?
Yeah, I think we will, Ger and Gavin, because it's a big day. It's the Champions Day at Ascot, so they've got, I think, four or five Group 1 races, and it's like one of the big closing events of the UK flat season. So the Champions Stakes is at 10 to 4. It's over a mile and 2 furlongs. Cracksman is trained by John Gosling, who's had an amazing year. Odds on with Frankie Dettori riding. It's his last race. He's got the blinkers on. I think John Gosling was saying that he was looking around for the fillies in the summer. Won the race by 7 lengths last year, but I'm not sure about him at odds on. Capri won the Irish Derby and the St Leger last year for Aidan O'Brien. Ryan Moore came back late this season, was 5th in the Arc, faded, but it was over a further trip. I think he's dangerous for that pair. Great combination, Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore. Michael Stout's Crystal Ocean, a horse must be respected. Second behind Enable the last time, although Capri has beaten him before. So money for Verbal Dexterity of Jim Bulger last night. I think it's between the top 3, but I'm going to go against Cracksman. I'm going to go for Capri. That's the one I go for. Capri about 13 to 2, about 6.5 to 1. Cracksman odds on. I don't know if you've got a view, Gavin, on that one.
Not particularly. I suppose Cracksman is definitely the horse to beat.
Yeah. Then we have the race before that, another Group 1, the 3:15, the Queen Elizabeth II Stakes over a mile. Roaring Lion is the favourite for that one. He won the Irish Champion Stakes, the Juddmonte, the Eclipse, all over 1 mile and 2 furlongs. This summer, he brought back in trip because of soft ground. He was 5th over a mile in the Guineas over this trip. The best horse in the race, but he's not a bet for me at 9 to 4. And sometimes he can go to the well a little bit too often, I think, in these races. He needed to be rousted to beat Saxon Warrior at Leopardstown. The one I like is Lawrence, the filly. They spent £70,000 to get her into the race. She's 7 to 1 each way, flourishing. She won at Leopardstown, then a Group 1 at Newmarket. Perhaps her progressive nature with the way that Downs could make her go close. There's a horse coming over from France, Recoletos, and Lord Glitter's a course and distance winner, another to consider. I like Lawrence each way. Would you be on the favourite here, Roaring Lion?
I go with Lawrence. I go with you.
Lawrence, we got agreement here from Gavin and myself. So Lawrence, and then the Killavullen Stakes, the 3:05 at Leopardstown tomorrow. A Group 3 for 2-year-olds over 7 furlongs. The horses.
I just want to ask a question about the fillies versus the colts at this stage of the year. Does it does it matter really? Does it make any difference?
It's the time of the year. I don't know. Is the short answer.
Yeah, so it's about form and the fact that Lawrence is progressive at this stage of the year. Like that's the kind of thing that has people.
Yeah. Fillies sometimes in the spring they can be coming in season and it just can be difficult to train them. Where this time of the year they can come to their milk.
Okay, I didn't actually realise that was an issue. Right, so this week we are looking to John to make our charity bet from the tote.com, and it is in the Killavullen Stakes at 3:05 on Saturday. We want you to keep an eye on the tote.com and the Tote social media to see what dividend John's bet is going to pay if this bet comes in. And for the Injured Jockeys Fund, John, just to bring everybody up to date, we didn't have a winner last week with Johnny tipping something around 12 to 1 or so. And
okay.
So we need a winner, John.
I'm doing my best here. You brought me in specially for it. The Killavullen Stakes, Group 3 over 7 furlongs for 2-year-olds. 10 runners declared on yielding ground. Expecting So Perfect to run in this raid. Aidan O'Brien, he's not. Instead, Aidan's entered Old Glory and Coral Beach. Patrick Prendergast saddles Could Be King, who won at Limerick last weekend, but does the race come too soon for him? I like Joseph O'Brien's No Needs Never. No Needs Never for Joseph O'Brien. He's won at Dundalk and Down Royal, won nicely the last time. He could be group class. I think there might be more to come from him. About the 3 to 1 mark. We'll see with the tote tomorrow. But No Needs Never in the Killavullen Stakes at Leopardstown. I don't know if you're going to agree with me. Gavin agreed with me on Lauren, so I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this one.
Yeah, well, look, he seems to be a very good horse. I'd say you could be on the money.
So no needs never tomorrow. We'll put our hat on that.
Where do these horses go next year? What, like, so if something like No Needs Never comes and wins this race, where, like, how good can these horses be that are running at this stage of the year? So this is the end of the flat season, basically, isn't it? And it's like, we'll see them next year re-emerging. Like, if you were involved, if you were a connection of a horse like that, where would a win in this catapult you to next season?
I don't know. Is he what price is he for the
Guineas?
The Guineas, and sure, he has to be right up there in the betting.
We saw, was it the Lord Webber horse, Andrew Lloyd Webber's horse last week? I mean, they just immediately, he wins at, I think it was at Newmarket, and he's immediately put in for the Guineas. So you're looking at 6 months' time, really, for these horses to either if they're not Guineas class, to be very much...
So that's what we're trying to establish with a meeting like this. It's like, are these Guineas horses or not? And
Oh,
you
absolutely.
Need to,
He's by a first season sire called No Nay Never, and they're like hotcakes at the sales at the moment.
That Aidan's horse that I thought would run isn't running, and that Joseph's horse is running, I thought was interesting. So that's why I liked the prospects here.
Okay, round about 3-1 we think at this stage, but obviously you'll get the price on the tote.com tomorrow if you want to get involved with that one. And as I said, keep an eye on the social media accounts, our social media accounts, and on the tote.com social media accounts as well. Speaking of selling like hotcakes, before we go, because we're nearly wrapping up here, Gavin, thanks very much for joining us. Best of luck with the rest of the season.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you.
It's obviously always busy. That's the downside to being great as a flat trainer and a jumps trainer, is that you can't take a couple of months off in the summer or a couple of months off in the winter.
Absolutely, yeah. But look, it'll be all right.
It's not a bad complaint to have, to be so good that you're busy all the time. So congratulations and well done, and thanks for joining us. Speaking of selling like hotcakes, yourself and Owen Sheehan were down noodling around Goffs recently.
Yeah, we went to the Orby sales, and once again, it's like talking to Gavin about being a farrier today and learning a lot about what goes into that and what happens behind the scenes. It's not just about turning up at the racetrack, oh, there's a lovely horse that's won the Derby or whatever. It all has to start somewhere. With the yearlings, these horses are generally between, say, 12 and 16 months. These are horses before they're even 2 years of age. They're going to run next year as 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. So we're talking about the best of breeding in Ireland and around the world, because we have some of the best horses in the world out of Galileo or out of Sadler's Wells in the past. And Owen and myself went down to the Goffs Orby sale, which is one of the big ones of the year. It's just fascinating to go in and see horses being sold for huge money, how it's auctioned. And I was thinking, I asked actually beforehand, can I put my hand up here just even in the early stages? And I was told, do you need a credit agreement to even like think about that?
Right.
So Owen didn't lift my hand up when I wasn't expecting him to.
I asked her for credit, she answered me nay.
Yeah, so no, I thought it was absolutely fascinating to see both sides. Everybody like swooped in for the big sale, which was, and they were done in lots. It was lot 318, I think it was.
And so how many, like several horses in that one lot?
No, just one horse in the lot. Okay. And we're talking about, like there could be 20 an hour.
Oh, right, that quick.
And it's done that quick. Some of them could be done for 40,000.
About 25 an hour, yeah.
There you go, 40,000, some go for 80,000. The horse Owen and I saw went for 3.2 million.
Okay, so you can see on the front cover there, that is Forever Together. And of course, that is the full sister of Together Forever. And another full sister in lot number 318 is going to be in the building here very, very shortly. We've been told that it's going to be the sale of the day. I'm very, very excited, John. You look very, very excited.
Well, just because I remember that Together Forever was a Rick Astley #1 in the United States in 1988, which is showing my age and showing my naff taste in music. But in all seriousness, at this Goffs Orby sale, we did a 2 million sale yesterday, sister to Alice Springs. That went to Phoenix Thoroughbreds. Amer Abdulaziz, I think he came over from Bahrain. So you got him in the pot, you got Coolmore, Godolphin, Sheikh Mohammed, John Magnier being here this week. So I think we could actually exceed 2 million. I wouldn't be surprised, Owen, if we even got near 3 million. The way Henry Beebe is able to orchestrate these sales here at Goffs. The big hitters are in town. There's a lot of new money here as well. And I actually think there might be a bit of tension in the room come just after 2 o'clock.
Yeah, well, Henry himself did actually mention this. Lot number 318. You've got a crap taste in music, but a great taste in horses, John, so I'm excited for this. Let's go have a look to see how this one goes.
Question where we're starting, what are we going to do here? Come on, give me 1 million and put me in, we're going to make a lot more. 375, 400,000, 400, 450 now. 800 the bidders right standing. At 8, 900 going to be it. At 1 million's going to be now. At 1 million 2. At 1,500,000 now. At 1 million 6, yes sir. At 1 million 7 now. At 1 million 9, let's get it. At 2 million, 2 million 1, 2 million 2, 2 million 3. At 2 million 5, 2 million 7 on bid. 2 million 8. 3 million bids the way. At 3,200,000 euro and Philly Starbirds, thank you very much indeed. 3,200,000 the best.
John O'Connor, we've had this Lot 318, which is called from your stud. We see it behind us here, Ballylynch stud, 3.2 million euro. Are you going to pinch yourself?
Maybe, yeah. But no, we're professionals. We're here to do a job, so we're delighted, of course. And but we did expect her to sell extremely well. She's one of the best bred fillies who will be sold in Europe this year, and everything else about her matched up to her pedigree. She was a fantastic physique, great walker, vetted extremely well, and just had a bit of charisma about her.
Did you expect 3.2 million though?
Probably not, but you know, at that level, it's hard to know what to expect. Once you get to a certain point, it depends on what those people decide they want to stop at or how long they want to keep going. So that's out of your control. You put them in there, you do the best you can, and the ultimate price then depends on somebody else.
Owen and myself, we're just hurlers in the ditch. We were just coming down here for the day just to see how Goffs is working and tell the audience. And we felt the tension in there. We could cut it like a knife. Could you feel that?
Yeah, there was plenty of tension. I mean, that it's not very often that a horse makes that kind of money. So, you know, inevitably there will be extra tension, and it's a bit of atmosphere. It's a little bit like a play unfolding to a certain extent. So there is a bit of tension, and that's a good thing. And in fairness, we really think that Goffs have done a fantastic job this year. They've you know, got all the top buyers here. They've gone out and got themselves a really good catalogue, and this is what it's all about. It's all about the horses in the end. If the horses are not good enough, the people will come but they won't buy. And in this particular case, Goffs encourage people to send really top-class horses. They've been encouraging people to sell in Ireland, and we're delighted that we're part of that. And I think it's an Irish success story that people should be proud of.
And this horse was not just bought, it was bred actually in your stud.
Yes, it was bred and foaled at Ballylynch. The Coslas, who own this filly, they bought the mare at the dam of our green room in America about 10 years ago, and she's boarded with us for about the last 6 or 7 years, and they've had a lot of success with her. But you know, they deserve to have a lot of success with her because she's a very good mare. It's unusual for a mare to breed 3 Group 1 winners. That's really rare. So this is a rare commodity really coming to the ring, and that's why you had 2 people trying so hard to buy her.
And a full sister to Forever Together, an Oaks winner for Aidan O'Brien. Would you expect this horse now to go on and be a classic winner?
You would expect that she has similar qualities to Together Forever and Forever Together, 2 full sisters. This one is similar, very similar physically, and obviously she got the exact same bloodlines as them. You know, it's in the lap of the gods whether she has the same ability on the track, but there's every reason to think that she would do.
Is this your biggest day in this environment?
Yes.
Amir Abdelaziz, I'm trying to think of words to describe what we've just witnessed there. We wouldn't be here in Goffs too often, but this is our first day here. That was incredible, that last auction. How do you feel?
Well, like you said, it's undescribable. You know, you can't describe it. It's a beautiful day, beautiful auction here. You know, organizer has done an amazing job. You know, we love being here. It's my first time. People were nice, so feel great about it. You know, it's nice to walk away with a filly like that as well. You know, out of this auction.
But sure, it's been a good couple of days for you as well, not just today.
Well, yeah, the 2 top fillies. You know, going home with 2 top fillies. You know, we're very excited, very happy about it.
Yeah, as you should be. What is the plan with the 2 fillies? Do you have anything in mind when you saw them on the paddocks earlier?
Well, looking at the quality, these 2 fillies, you know, out of top stallion, you know, Galileo, you know, out of top quality brood mares, you know. So the plan is to, of course, raise them under the colour of Phoenix, and then hopefully they go and become our foundation mares. Yeah.
So lot number 318, tell us, what did you see? What was the key component that you thought, I'm going for this?
Sexy lady. She is actually. She's got a wonderful walk, you know, she walks like a model, you know, and she's got a nice hip, you know, on her, and that's what you look for when it comes to a filly. She's got a beautiful face and very athletic.
Yeah. Did you feel an adrenaline rush in there earlier on?
I did, actually. I did.
Because I felt an adrenaline rush, and I didn't have a single penny riding on it. I felt, which way is this going to go? Were you nervous at all? Were you worried at all that the deal might not happen for you?
Well, of course, at a certain point, you're playing against the big boys, and they're our partners, they have bigger pockets than us, so but you trying to, at the same time, trying to secure her. There's no doubt about it. I was a bit, worried, not having her, but then we said, okay, we're going to go one more time, and that one more time happened to be us, so at a certain time we were going to walk away from it, but that was the last bid for us, and they stopped, and we were lucky to have her.
Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
And they're off. Brought to you by Go Racing. Plan your day at the races at goracing.ie.